Ask Reddit by USD. For those that don't want any kids in the future, why? Deleted. Exactly. I don't want to worry about a kid for the rest of my life. I could never truly relax again. I just don't feel like being a parent and watching over a child. This is it. I know if I have a kid I will be stressed and broke for the rest of my life. I like not being stressed and having money. Edit. Stop trying to convince me to have kids. I will not have kids. Why have kids when you cannot have kids? To kids and zero money or zero kids and two money. I don't have a reason to have kids. I don't feel like this is discussed enough. There aren't a lot of legit good reasons to have kids. Personally not interested in the stress, responsibility and dedication it takes to look after babies, toddlers and kids. If I ever do have kids I'll look after them, but right now and probably for a long time, I don't see myself wanting to be around kids when coming home after a long day then deal with a screaming baby, OFC not all the time, which needs attention the entire time I'm home. Coming from a father of two, this is fairly accurate unfortunately, and my children are conventionally well behaved. I love my kids and I wouldn't change anything, but they're a second full-time job that you're not financially compensated for and you actually spend 40% of your earnings to make sure they stay alive. If you're not ready for children, please don't have children. Use protection everyone. Just not something I have ever wanted. Believe it or not, there are just some people out there who don't have a parental instinct. It's interesting, you know. I am mid-late 30s and I never wanted them. And I mean, I never entertained the idea. It wasn't an option in my head for what my life would look like when I was a kid. I never ever thought, how that is something I want. I often consider myself lucky because it was never something I had to agonize over. It felt like I was born with that already decided. I'm a woman, so I just don't often hear anyone say they felt the same. Because I like peace, quiet, cleanliness, free time, and last but not least, money. Don't forget not getting a cold every few weeks. Many reasons. 1. I don't have a partner. 2. I don't make enough money to support them in a way I think they'd deserve. 3. My country is so divided and seems to be making more and more terrible decisions that will directly impact my children's future. 4. I don't want them. 5. I don't want to give up my hobbies and free time to be a parent. 6. The world already has a shit ton of people. 7. I don't want them. Reasons number 4 and 7 are sufficient. I have no maternal instinct toward kids. Nothing makes me want to hold a baby or play with a toddler. I don't find a child laughing or a baby cooing adorable. I also have anger issues and I refuse to put a kid through what my dad put me through. Gotta break the cycle somewhere. I used to. But lately I'm just not impressed. I went to a family friend's condo and there were 6 full grown adults staring at a 1-year-old coloring. I was horrified tbh. Kids are annoying. I don't have the patience. I also have lots of issues. I would probably snap and be abusive in some way unfortunately. I'm better off without kids. I would definitely get so stressed out and frustrated about a baby crying that I would drop it off at the fire department within the first week. I am aware of this and thus don't want kids. It's as simple as I've always known I've never wanted them. I'm 32, and one of the biggest turning points of my life was about 4 years ago when I realized I'd been anxious my entire 20s about the pending inevitability of parenthood. It felt like a black cloud hanging over the rest of my life from the age of 30 onwards that I was hurtling towards. Then I realized I had a choice and not having kids was an option. I think it took so long to get to that place because, as a female, you are relentlessly bombarded with motherhood your entire life. Since my decision, I feel like I'm only starting to feel alive. I love my life so much and am excited for all that's to come. For people who heart and soul want children, amazing. I hope you have a wonderful journey. I'm just so glad I was born in a time when finally, not having kids is a viable option too. Very aware this depends on where yo. And after the question age along comes the you will regret it era. I don't want kids. Simple. It's like asking me why I don't want to get a horse or a stamp collection. It just isn't on my want list. As a girl who rides and enjoy horses, I do sometimes ask back when people are going to get a horse when they ask me when I'm going to have kids. People think it's fucking odd and can't see that the question is exactly the same. I like only having to take care of myself. I have a child, my inner child. I don't want to pass on my terrible genetics and generational trauma to anyone else. My genes are terrible, and the way my parents passed all of their worst conditions to me, I am not surprised if more of them will come out along the way. My parents did an amazing job raising me with a difficult genetic condition, but it made them suffer for sure. I definitely would not be able to take care of a child with the same disease as mine. It would be especially hard psychologically. Broadly gestures towards the world. While it's never stopped previous generations, maybe it should have. I don't need a reason. The simplest answer is often the right answer. I'd be a terrible parent. Don't really wanna fuck up a child like my parents fucked me up. Edit. Wowza, this is the most upvotes I've ever gotten on anything. LMAOTHX for understanding me y'all. I told my friend this once when she asked why I didn't want kids, and she was like, see, you're operating from a place of fear, but yeah, damn near everything about being a parent is scary. And also, am I operating from a place of fear, or am I being logical about the cycle of abuse? People are so ignorant about the weight and responsibility of being parenting, it's wild. Just be popping out babies without really thinking it through fully. I have one child. Strongly considered abortion, but the option was more or less taken from me before I could get my bearings. Anyway, I had her, and I don't regret her. I would die for her. She's well taken care of. With all that being said, motherhood is not for me. I never wanted children. And I found that aside from watching her grow and learn, motherhood is mostly miserable. The pregnancy was miserable. The birthing process was miserable. The lack of sleep. The amount of money you have to spend. Not being able to do what you want. Losing your sense of identity and self. And becoming this person that lives to raise your child. Are all miserable to me. For that reason, I never want any more. Thanks for your candor. I often feel like parents are never allowed to express their very real frustrations about parenthood without being labeled a monster or something you can love your kid and damp. Hate all the sacrificing that comes with it. This was refreshing to hear. That question alone is pretty often here, and IMHO, it's a bit loaded already. Not having kids should be the default, and you should have reasons for having kids, not the other way around. Ugh. Thank you. I feel like this gets asked twice a month. They're really expensive and needy, and I don't understand their math homework. I'm not really sure how to break the news to them though. Why make someone suffer? Myself or a person who doesn't even exist yet? I'd rather regret not having a kid than regret having a kid. I'm too selfish. I wanna be able to do what I want when I want, and I don't wanna worry about how that's gonna affect a kid. If I wanna spend all day with my chick getting high and laying on the beach, we can do that. No one should be called selfish for doing what makes them happy. Most reasons for having kids could also be called selfish, but just as easily could be argued it's what makes the parent happy. What is selfish is telling someone that their life choices, lifestyles are wrong just because it's not the same as theirs. I had children in the late 90s and they definitely enhanced my life. In the current economic and social climate, I wouldn't have children now. I don't see how I'd be able to, and that makes me sad. I feel like you need to explain to me why I would want kids. There's nothing positive in my mind about it. You lose your time, your money, your personal space, and your freedom. Also, most importantly, you lose your health. To name a few factors: stress, anxiety, finances, time management, health concerns of child, climate change, politics, educational system quality, retirement, global population. I struggle with anxiety, especially in the setting of higher stress environments and lack of sleep. I struggled a ton with adjusting when I got my puppy, and that was only for 2-3 months. I can't imagine how I'd be a good parent to someone who is dependent on me for a few years. I think the planet is doomed and that children will inherit economic, environmental, political disasters on an unimaginable scale. Counterpoint: why do you?